Am I an idiot for not accepting my sister's relationship with my ex despite her having cancer as a teenager? My female, 25, father married my stepsisters, female 23, mother when I was 4 and she was 3. We've lived together most of our lives and are a family. She and I were extremely close. She developed cancer when she was 14 and was sick for about 2 years. She's since made a full recovery. During that time, my parents became understandably overprotective. They also asked a lot of me. I quit my extracurriculars so I could get a job. The money went towards her medical bills, and so I could drive her to appointments. I didn't go to dances and any fun activities I did needed to include her. I did almost all of this willingly, the exception being having to quit my high school volleyball team. I did throw a bit of a tantrum about that, but was swiftly punished. And I think having one emotional breakdown was pretty chill given the circumstances. Anyhow, I go to college and meet my ex, we'll call him Ben, when I'm a junior. We fell in love, blah blah blah. He and I move in together when we graduate, so we've been living together for about 3 years. We were serious until July when I walked into my bedroom and saw him freaking my sister. I broke it off. Tears were shed. He moved out, etc. My sister apologized at first but then backed off. I thought she was giving me space, but last week she called and asked if we could meet up. She told me that she and Ben were in love and were just telling me as a courtesy before they started posting photos online. Distraught, I left her in the restaurant by herself and did not pay my portion of the bill. She later texted me asking for the money. She told my parents, who then called me to their house, telling me how disappointed in me they are for not supporting my sister's relationship with Ben. They brought up the fact that because she had cancer as a teenager, she never learned proper social etiquette and has a hard time meeting people. I don't buy this, in part because I've seen her socialize just fine, and since we spent a good chunk of the time she was sick together, that would also mean that I should have bad social skills as well, by that logic. They then told me that if I don't accept my sister and Ben's relationship, they may have to go no contact with me. I reminded them that I'm also their daughter and they should understand my point of view, but they are adamant that this is about me being jealous of her. For the record, I'm not jealous of her. I'm not upset that Ben picked her over me. I'm sad about the end of the relationship and do feel betrayed. But Lord knows that I don't want to be with a cheater. What I'm upset about is the fact that my sister chose Ben over me, that she slept with Ben knowing he and I were in a long-term, committed relationship, and continues to be with him knowing how much it hurts me. Now no one in my immediate family is talking to me and I'm getting messages from aunts and uncles and cousins telling me that I'm an idiot and a selfish butch. Edit. Thank you everyone so much for your comments. This has gotten more attention than I expected and I am having trouble keeping up, so if I don't say thank you, then thank you. I've been given a lot of food for thought. TBH, while I've had moments where I've been resentful or upset about my teenage years, I've always thought that I did the right thing for my sister and for my family. And that time wasn't all miserable. I was very close to my sister and we made things as fun as we could. But I didn't think of it as an abdication of my parents' responsibilities or that they were doing wrong by me, which many of you pointed out. I definitely have a lot to think about. Thank you again for making me feel less crazy about all of this. Update. Sometimes you can only laugh. Just got off the phone with my cousin who saw this post and said he could explain a few things. I asked him why he was on Reddit instead of school. He asked me why I was on Reddit instead of work, and I said touche. He told me that after my conversation with my mom, she went to his house and talked to my aunt. And here's the deal. Turns out my sister is not only in a relationship with Ben but 4 months pregnant, which means she and Ben were fricking for longer than I had even guessed. Apparently my parents are so adamant that I forgive her because I'm already ruining their experience of their first grandchild. That's right, I'm less important than my stepmom posting ultrasounds to Facebook. This is where we're at. Anyhow, I called out of work sick the rest of the day and I'm going to drink a lot of alcohol. Like, a lot of alcohol, and then start thinking about what the frick I'm going to do. I was asked for an update and thus, here I am. 2 things to clarify before I update. 1. I didn't have a shitty childhood. The favoritism started when my sister was diagnosed. I moved out soon after and have been pretty independent since then. Not saying that how my parents treated me during those years were okay, but I wasn't Cinderella. 2. I did not drink myself into oblivion. I had 2 white wine spritzers, but I appreciate the concern from folks. Anyhow, the update. I got in touch with my sister and asked her to meet up again at a park, no bill involved. I asked her if she was pregnant and she told me the truth. She said she wanted us to still be in each other's lives and that she wanted me to be in her babies. A Redditor, and I forget who, I'm sorry, mentioned that she may ask me to be the godmother and that person was correct. But as many of you pointed out, if I didn't cut her off, I'd just become her bank and daycare employee. So I told her I could no longer be in her life. And I left her crying on a park bench and felt like the shittiest person in the world. I emailed my parents and told them how betrayed I felt and that I'd be cutting off contact with them. To my stepmom's credit, she apologized. She explained that she never thought my sister would live to have kids and that she let her emotions get the better of her. Understandable. My dad said nothing, which is honestly what sucked the worst about all of this. Ben tried messaging me from a burner account for the first time since the breakup, but I blocked him without reading it. I didn't go nuclear and post the story to Facebook as some suggested, but I sent an email to the extended family members who I care about. I explained the situation and how I'd be distancing myself from my family. Some have made it an us versus them situation, and as much as I appreciate the support, feeling like I'm in some valiant battle just makes me more tired. So I haven't been talking to much of anyone in my family. I feel lonely and crappy, but I think I made the right decision. Anyhow, not the most exciting update in the world, but hopefully everyone knows that I'm not dead. I do really appreciate the support I've gotten. It made me smile during a really shitty time. And hey, if anyone in the greater Boston area wants an extra guest at Thanksgiving, let me know. Would you invite her to Thanksgiving? Let me know in the comments. Now, you won't want to miss the next story. Am I an idiot for telling my boyfriend he's a bad person? So recently my boyfriend got some dental trays for his teeth done. Molds of your teeth, which can be used to put product in to whiten your teeth. He's done this before but lost his last set of trays, so went somewhere new to get some new trays done. My boyfriend told me that when going to pick up his dental trays, the receptionist just gave him the trays without asking for payment. He then took the trays and left knowing he had not paid for them. The receptionist called shortly after he left and explained that a mistake was made and could he please either come back and pay for the trays or pay over the phone. My boyfriend lied, saying he was adamant he had already paid before picking the trays up, and it wasn't his fault that they had no record of him paying, that he didn't keep his receipt to prove it to them. He was pretty vocal to me about not wanting to pay for the dental trays if he didn't have to, and that it was the receptionist's mistake and on her. What sparked our argument about this was a car journey where he answered the phone to the manager of the dental practice, who was following up the call with the receptionist. My boyfriend continued with his lie that he had already paid and it was not his problem, that they could not provide proof of this. Now, something about witnessing him lie so easily to this man really bothered me, and it bothered me that he didn't care if the receptionist may get into serious trouble or even lose her job over this mistake, or that he wasn't losing out by paying as he would have paid for the product in normal circumstances. After the call, which didn't reach any resolution, I told him that was very uncomfortable for me to hear and witness, and he's a bad person for lying like that when he knows full well it was likely an honest mistake by the receptionist, and he got a product he didn't pay for. My boyfriend is now giving me the silent treatment and seems really hurt that I called him a bad person. He says most people would avoid paying for something if they didn't have to. Am I an idiot? Should I apologize? Update. Thanks for the rewards. A lot has happened since my opus. I spoke to the manager of the dental practice. I explained that my boyfriend, BF, had been open to me about not paying and that he doesn't plan to. The manager said a letter was already on the way demanding the payment, and if BF fails to pay, the court proceedings will begin. He was thankful I called and knew it was their mistake, but was surprised by my BF's attempts to argue with him. That's a good result for now. I didn't plan on telling my BF as I wanted to end it. There were too many red flags, so I decided I couldn't ever truly trust him, and I didn't want to add fuel to the fire. But before I got to end our relationship in person, I learned another painful lesson. Recently my BF's laptop broke. This was fine as it was old and he can't work from home anyway. He sells cars, so he's used mine. Earlier this week I'm on my laptop working and went to check my personal emails, except my BF's email was still logged in when I opened the webpage. I went to log out but saw the most recent 30-ish emails were all from the same person, a girl. This was weird, as who emails like that to converse anymore? I know it was an invasion of privacy, but I clicked onto the emails. I deduced this was a girl from his work. They were emailing because her mobile phone was broken, and emailing him from her work email during the day was an easy way for them to still talk. The emails were flirtatious. They mentioned dates they'd been on. He'd clearly been to her house, they spent lunch breaks together, and she thought he was single. The more I read, the more enraged I became. What if I'd never clicked the email? After considering where I could bury him, I decided to remain calm. I called my manager to tell her what I'd just learned. She's super cool and said to take the afternoon. I then called an emergency locksmith and packed up my BF's stuff. He alternates between staying at mine and his mum's, except for his PS5 I bought for his 25th birthday last month. When this purge of my BF from my life was ready, I texted him, "I know about us, our relationship is over, your things are on the doorstep. You must transfer me the money for XYZ. Please don't ever contact me again," and blocked him on everything. A little while later, there's knocking at my door as he's pleading to be let in to talk about it. I can see him but stay silent where he can't see me. He was on his knees crying, begging, pleading for me not to leave him. Whether they were crocodile tears or not, my heart ached. After some time he left with his stuff. I felt relief and had a good cry, but I doubt that's the last I'll hear from him. I feel heartbroken and stupid. An enormous thank you to all those who said his behavior was revealing of his character, what he's capable of. I will apply the same vigilance to future partners. I know this is a dodged bullet, but it hurts like hell. Edit. Just wanted to clarify some things. I kicked him out of my house. I own it. He's never paid anything towards it and has no documentation linking him to my house. He alternates between staying at mine and his mother's, with his mother's being his official and primary residency. Weirdly, some of you were really focused on the fact I kept the PS5. But I paid for it, had the receipts, and it never left my home. I feel like retracting this gift. He's had little over a week as an idiot. Tax is morally justified after he's been a 5 idiot. And last time I checked, this was a moral judgment, not a legality sub. I think they'd be very different comments if this was the other way around and he'd just given me an engagement ring and then found out I was cheating not even 2 weeks later. Yes, it'd be mine under the jurisdiction of a gift. But is it morally right I get to keep the ring? Probably not. I noted down the email of the girl my ex was cheating with in case I wanted to contact her directly. I was thinking of constructing a message explaining everything and assuring her I'm not bitter towards her. Then it's up to her what she wants to do with that info. Thanks so much for all the supportive messages and comments. I am reading every single one. I'm honestly shocked at the amount of kindness from strangers. Not an idiot. I also believe you have a right to take back everything expensive that you bought for him. You had every right to kick him out of your house. Ignore everyone who says otherwise. He was in the wrong. A cheat and a liar. You're better off without him. Not an idiot. Way to go. That is some serious shadiness. Glad you saw it early. Sorry you had to hear the hard news in a totally short way. But proud of you. Crocodile tears can still trigger sympathetic emotions, but you made the right choice.